Okay guys, it's scorching and I'm here with Joe from Motostrano. How's it going, man?
Awesome.
We're checking out some of these cube bikes. You're one of the few dealers that carry them in the US, and I've been a fan a long time because it seems like they offer pretty good quality, really nice style on this one today at a good price point. So the name on this one is hard for me to remember, so I got my phone here. This is the Cube Reaction Hybrid HPA SL 500.
No less.
Do you know what any of that stands for?
Well, it's a cube bike. That's what we know.
It's a hardtail, right? And the 500,
yeah.
That's the 500 Bosch power pack right there. Really nice integration into that down tube. It's kind of cupped in there. It reminds me of some of the mustache bikes, but there's no plastic cover.
Correct.
And on the black, it really blends in. We've got, you know, the, what is it again? It's the hybrid HPA SL 500 compared to this model over here. And this looks like the Elite SL. You know, in this case, they've just sort of built around the battery. It's not really sunk into the down tube as much.
Well, and that's a carbon frame, so I think the technology there of hiding the battery is a little bit different.
Okay.
But then, of course, on this one too, you notice how they've tilted up the Bosch motor.
Yeah.
Making it even kind of more hidden in the frame.
That's a really great, thank you for calling that out, because this is it's just a little bulkier, like the plastic. Is this a 2017 model?
Yes.
It is, okay.
Yes.
So, you know, both of these are 2017 models, but I'm definitely a fan of the design. And check this out, they even have double layers on this skid plate here. So, looks like it's removable, maybe replaceable. Perhaps that gives it a little bit more like shock absorbing quality. I like that there's also a long rubberized slap guard that extends to beneath the right chainstay. So if you get a little bit of chain suck, like I've heard over in Europe sometimes, they're riding in a lot of mud and it can kind of build up against the motor. So this isn't gonna suck as much, just the way that the, you know, the curve, the bend right there, the yoke. I don't know, I haven't ridden this in the mud. It's a brand new clean bike, but it just seems like this is well thought out, and it also looks beautiful. We've got the matte black, the gloss black accents. The cube branding is really subtle underneath. The way the motor is tilted and integrated. This is the Bosch CX, high torque, 75 Newton meters there. And then we've got a 16-tooth sprocket with a Miranda alloy chain guard. So I love that. It's going to keep your pants clear a little bit and also just protect it. Maybe the chain's not going to jump off as easily. It's hugged really tightly against the motor and that bottom bracket area. Sometimes I've seen these Bosch setups where the chain ring's just out further. So I feel like they did a good job here. FSA cranks, 175 millimeter length. And then we've got a great range here. This is 11 to 46 tooth. So you've got a really ultra wide low gear. It's awesome to have Shimano Deore XT with the Shadow Plus clutch. So you lock that, it's gonna tighten the chain, so maybe you won't get as much bounce, and you won't have to worry about those slaps as much. If you put it in the down position, perhaps you're using this as a commuter or you're just on a trail where the bumps aren't such a big deal, it's gonna shift a little bit easier, I think. And then we do have rack bosses back here. So you could add a rack, you could turn this into kind of a fun urban commuter. And you were even saying that, you know, maybe you swap the tires or something.
Yeah, for sure. The 29er is one of our most popular category e-bikes, simply because it's, you know, it's a weekend mountain bike, and then during the week you can use it as a commuter going back and forth to work. We have folks who just put on some like supermoto style tires that are built for the road, you know, and have it looking less aggressive,
smoother, quieter
and better rolling resistance, so you get a little bit better range as well.
I like that. It's a neat setup, and you know, there's no hole here or on the suspension fork for adding like a fender, but you know, being a mountain bike, they've got those little plastic fenders you could add. Here, we're in Northern California, it's not like that wet in the valley, so people might not need it. And you're exactly right, like the 29-inch wheels are a little bit more efficient, lower attack angle. Swapping the tires is one way to go about it. This is not boost, by the way, so it's 100 millimeters up there, 135 in the rear. That's width of the hub versus the big plus size tires. These are 29 by, I think it's 2.35. So there's still some comfort there, but they're going to be a little lighter, a little bit more nimble. Yeah. And the really unique thing about this is there's a huge range of sizes. So I think it's like, I want to say 15, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 23. But like the two, sort of the lower ones, have 27.5 inch wheel diameter, and then 17, 19, 21, 23. Those ones have 29s. So it's really super interesting to see a single model that has two different wheel sizes, and the larger wheel diameter is going to bring the bike up and give you that efficiency, and it enables them to do some bottle cage bosses. And see how low those are? Part of that's the way that the battery design is set up, but they kept them really low so that the seat post could go down. And this is a super long seat post. It's like 400 millimeters long. So if you're someone who's tall and you're looking for a hardtail, this is a really good option because it comes so many options.
Yeah, about sizing, I mean, it's very important. You know, a lot of, especially European manufacturers, when they come to the U.S., they come with a couple of different sizes, and not realizing, I mean, we have a lot of women that are 5'2", you know, over here. And for some brands, they just can't fit into them. And so it's for Cube and some others, like High Bike does that too, where they have a pretty good wide range of frame styles. You can fit everybody, and that's, you know, one size definitely does not fit all on a $4,000 e-bike.
This is the melting pot, guys. We got people, tall people, short people. This is a diamond only frame. Okay, so when I say diamond, it's like, that's sort of the European like high step. They tend to be stiffer. Structurally, this bike is tough. It's going to be able to handle some trails. I would call it a cross-country bike because I think it's like 100 millimeter travel on that fork. It's not a ton, but it is an air fork. It's going to be a little bit lighter weight, fairly adjustable. We've got rebound adjust down there, and then a remote lockout up here, so you can adjust that on the fly without having to get down there. There's no seat post dropper, but again, this is a cross-country bike, so it's not like you're planning to do a big downhill section. The weight on this bike was 48 pounds, so that's decent. You know, a lot of the other electric mountain bikes are in kind of the 50-pound range. This is the sort of ride-on. Because it has the Bosch Power Pack 500, that weighs slightly more, 5.7 pounds versus 5.5 on the older 400, but you get, you know, that's more capacity. It's 36 volt, it gets 13.4 amp hours. And then with the motor, 250 watts nominal, peaking out around 675 Newton meters of torque. It measures your rear wheel speed with that magnet and the sensor right there, your pedal cadence and your pedal torque 1,000 times per second. So it's super responsive. And Joe was noticing earlier that the chain, it's kind of got a fun like silver black pattern. So it just stands out. I really love the look of this bike. Alex rims, we got the Schwalbe knobby neck tires we were talking about before. Just giving you a close-up on these. Shimano hydraulic disc brakes, 180 millimeter rotors, 2-finger levers. That's all you really need with the bigger rotors. Hydraulic disc brakes are easy to actuate, and if you are getting the smaller frame size, maybe you have smaller hands, you can adjust this lever and bring it in a little bit so your reach won't be quite so far, and that's nice. Tapered head tube tends to be lighter, very sturdy. Quick release on both wheels, but again, 9 millimeter skewers. So this does not have through axles. It's not quite as stiff and burly as some of the plus size, you know, electric mountain bikes that we're seeing, but it's gonna be very convenient. It's the kind of thing where you can take the wheels off, take the batteries off, throw it in the back of your car or whatever. It also has the minimalist display panel right here. This is the Bosch Purion versus the Entuvia. A little bit smaller, maybe goes unnoticed a little bit more, still fairly easy to reach. I don't like the buttons, they don't click quite as, it doesn't have that satisfying click that they used to have on the independent pad. You can upgrade this to the Entuvia if you want, but maybe you're using your phone on this if it's a commuter, or you just like how clean it is. You could add your own lights aftermarket. Are you guys one of the shops that you can actually add lights on these, like Supernova or Bush & Mueller?
Yeah,
people?
Definitely. We do the Supernova, we do the nip and tuck kits, basically any of the e-bike kits. Normally you have to pull out the motor, so it takes a good while to set up the wiring, do the install for the software aspect of it.
Yeah. I was hanging out with Frankie earlier, and he had like the Supernova M99, like super big, you know, and he clearly added those. So he was talking about taking the motor casing cover off. And
yep. And by the way, this is also, Bosch just came out with their new EMTB
That's
motor.
right, for CX motors.
Exactly. And so this is a bike that would be able to have the upgrade for that as well.
And it's really interesting that you mentioned that, because I heard it's like some bikes that have walk mode enabled, no problem. Yeah. And then there were some other bikes where walk mode wasn't enabled. I'm talking to you, Trek. They took off walk mode on like all their bikes for whatever reason. Yeah. And apparently EMTB mode isn't working. I think Bosch is working on a solution, maybe by October or something. But, so what he's talking about, let's just turn on the bike. So the battery pack's locked on. I guess I want to show you what that looks like. Got the AXA key, twist it. easy to lift. Got the handle. There's even a little LED charge indicator on the side of the battery. These are just so well done. You're not gonna drop it. That's what it looks like inside the down tube. And I must say, you wanna make sure that when you put it back on, you get the key pulled out and then you push down and it clicks. Make sure it clicks, okay? So we're on the other side here. I wanna compliment Cube because this little rubber cover seals really well. And it's easy to get down there and, you know, just push on this. Thank you so much, Joe. And there you go. Look at that. See how well that seats? So Bulls, improve your rubber thingy, right? Because some of their bikes, like, yeah, I mean, it's a minor gripe, but it's
too. It's there's a little bit flimsy.
Yeah, there's room for improvement. But these, you know, each of these bikes has, it's a different audience, a different geometry, different price point. $37.99 on this. So we're under 4,000 bucks for, you know, a Bosch CX with Power Pack 500. That's not bad. And I just love the frame. You know, it's slightly wider down there, but it hasn't been a problem for me at all riding. And I just love the way this looks. So I'm gonna power up the Purion, press the power button on top, comes to light very quickly. We do have a micro USB port, but I tested it with my phone, an iPhone, and then a Sony or whatever. It didn't charge them. So that's one of the other things. If you have the Intuvia, it does charge them. And apparently you were saying maybe there will be an update at some point or something, but it doesn't work right now. That's one of the other trade-offs. You know, there are trade-offs. Here's walk mode. So if we push walk mode for a second, or we have to, it's not enabled on these ones. What the heck?
No, we have to turn it on. We just didn't set it.
Oh, we haven't set it yet. Okay, so normally I think you press walk mode and then you hold the plus button. Is that right? Yeah, okay. Well, I wish I could demonstrate that today, guys, but no big deal. I've seen it on the other ones. You can see it in some other videos. You press plus to go through the different assist levels. So Eco, Tour, Sport, and Turbo. And Sport is the EMTB mode. And basically, I'm going to describe this, and you can tell me what you think. Because hopefully I'm doing it right, and I'd love to hear. You've tried it, right?
Yeah.
EMTB? Okay.
Yeah, I was over in France a couple weeks ago.
You're everywhere, but yeah, this guy gets to go to all the cool events. So the neat thing about EMTB mode is it seems like it opens up the full range of assist. It's not just Eco where you're limited, and it's not just Turbo where it's always trying to push you. It's to me, it's more like a torque sensor. It seems like it's measuring how hard you're pedaling.
With EMTB mode, it frees up your thumb,
yeah,
and one less thing for you to focus and concentrate on when you're on the trail.
Yeah.
If you want more power, you just pedal more.
Yeah.
And you're then able to kind of focus a little bit more on the trail and less on things that is going on with your hands, and that's kind of a cool feature.
It's good for wheelies.
Definitely.
Definitely works for wheelies. Yeah, it's the best mode for wheelies, actually, if you're interested in that. So anyway, so plus and minus, we're all used to that, right? More or less power. If you hold the minus key, it changes some of the menus here. So I see my total distance, my range, and range is dynamic. So depending on the level of assist that you choose, 12 miles is what it's estimating for Turbo. And if I go all the way down to Eco, it's saying 39 miles. We are not at a full battery here. That's one of my complaints. The Bosch displays, they all use like, well, except for the Nyon in Europe, it doesn't have a percentage, it's just 5 ticks. So it's a little less precise. Let's hold minus again, and I think we get, yeah, trip meter is the last one. So you'll notice that it didn't have clock, it didn't have max speed, it didn't have average speed. It just doesn't have quite as many readouts as the Intuvia, but you know, that's okay. You don't want to be too distracted by this display. One thing that people ask about occasionally, right now it's in miles per hour. If you hold minus and tap the power button, boom, kilometers per hour. Yes, that's a secret. It's a secret. Did you know how to do that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, high five, buddy.
Nice.
We're learning every day. So I think that's it. I mean, we've gone pretty thoroughly through this bike. I just think it looks killer, and it uses great components and all the sizes. There's not much else to say. What do you want to say about it?
It's super versatile. In fact, I'm going to be riding one all day tomorrow.
Nice.
For bike camping. So we're going to take, you know, this basically the same kind of cube, load it up with camping gear, and ride 75 miles on the road, and then take some trails. And so that's really kind of its all-purposeness. It's something I can commute on during the day, but on the weekend, it's an adventure bike.
Awesome. Well, maybe you can hop on it, and I can get the third-person perspective, and we can swap off. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
I'm going to take the carbon one.
Okay.
You're looking good. Nice. Sweet. It looks like there's a kickstand mount on this one, Joe. Do you know what that is, that hole?
That is there's a cube specific kickstand, yeah.
Huh, that's kind of nice, like coming back to using this in an urban environment.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna take this for a spin. I'll meet you back at the shop.
Okay.
We all good? Thank you so much.
About 3 hours?
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so I'm gonna take it up to, let's do sport. I don't know if this one has the software update. I don't think it does yet, but you know, it's really smooth and dynamic because this uses the multi-sensor. It's fluid, and it even has shift detection. So if you're riding one of these bikes and you need to shift, the idea is that the motor is going to ease off a little bit and save some wear and strain on the chain, the sprockets, and the derailleur. So I might shift through some gears too in a second here. Pretty easy to get up to 20 miles per hour. That's the top assisted speed on the bike. And that chain ring, it's 16 tooth, it spins 2.5 revolutions for every crank arm revolution. So there's like a little gearbox in there, and it's not really quiet where I'm at, but I'm gonna take it down to off. See, that's what I mean. These buttons, I've had to click a bunch of times. So here it's, there's just a little bit more going on down there. And I mentioned the chain suck thing. I have never experienced that, but I want to be, you know, clear about sort of the pros and cons or considerations for each different bike. From here you can see the suspension. Right now it's in the open position. I'm gonna ride like that, and then I'm gonna lock it out. Big fan of the shifters too. They let you push forward or pull back. So it's either an index finger or a thumb engagement. Now I'm gonna lock it out. There we go. Feeling really just stiff and efficient. This is what you might wanna do. Oh, unlocking it. There we go. You might wanna lock it out if you're, you know, you're just on smooth surfaces. You already get a lot of comfort from the tires and the knobs. This is a pretty comfortable bike as is, even if it was completely rigid. From here you can see that chainring spinning, starting and stopping as I pedal. I'm in turbo mode, so it's going to be pretty zippy and powerful. I'm going to shift to some gears as well. I think that's about it. That's the Cube Reaction, 29-inch wheels, SLA, I don't know, big name. For the full written review on this, including all the other measurements and things I do, I'll see you back at ElectricBikeReview.com. Of course, have fun out there, sound off if you have a Cube or if you have some feedback about this, and ride safe.